Let's go!
Credit to the Eagles, man. They played better than us.
We are breaking down every single Patrick Mahomes Chiefs offensive rep in the big game. So lock in, Kansas City fans, because you will not see a breakdown better than this one. What went wrong is most of the fault here on Patrick Mahomes. This is indeed the first play of the game, and it was the only first down of the first half for Kansas City. I love this no-look RPO stuff where you could throw to Xavier Worthy in the flat, but you throw it to the slant route. This play has been so money for the Chiefs. You could make a very strong case. While the Eagles' defensive line dominated up front, Cooper DeJean, the rookie 33, was the best player on the field. You get a little quick RPO screen action here, and DeJean just brings down Xavier Worthy. We get to second down, and honestly, one thing you'll see, and this is rare that you see this in the NFL, everything is just so basic, right? Straight quarters, cover six stuff where you have two deep safeties, a four-man front that's lined up out wide. And by wide, I mean Y9s, if you will, fives, whatever you want to call them. And, you know, when you play these kinds of looks, you kind of just need to run on it, right? But Chiefs are an empty, so you're not running on it on this rep. And Mahomes throws this football with a lot of anticipation. It hits Travis Kelce right in the hands, the end zone angle. I mean, you'll see how big of a drop this actually was. And you'll also see C.J. Gardner-Johnson really get into Kelce's face after that drop. And a big hit. One of the biggest plays of the year was made by Jalen Carter. At least one of the biggest plays of the first quarter of the biggest game of the year. So we've already done a Chiefs offensive line breakdown, so we won't go too deep into pass protection. We'll link it down below. But I think in this situation, Mahomes could have, instead of twirling around, stepped up here and got through here. Right? There's extra value in rolling out to the right here because that's where your receivers are in their route concepts. So instead, Mahomes twirls around here, and this play by Jalen Carter is simply sensational. And while he's getting pushed, he's able to tackle Mahomes, and he is able to get this off Patrick. Honestly, the fact that he had enough arm strength to get it here is ridiculous. And look, there's just a whole lot of room. If he's able to break that contain and run right here, there's a whole lot of room for him to make something happen. Just doesn't happen here. And what I want you to also see on this play is Travis Kelce, right? Everything here gets passed off well from the Eagles. They're trying to play man coverage, and this is so hard to get through all this traffic, and everything is just covered so well. And Travis Kelce is just doubled right here by a robber, Blankenship, and, of course, the nickel Cooper DeJean. I will say this is a relatively casual Super Bowl start right here from Travis Kelce. You know, even though he was doubled, per se, he just kind of is just standing there, okay? Not really doing a whole lot to get open. It really was a brutal Trav game. So on that last incompletion, that was an instance where the Eagles went from middle of the field open coverage to middle of the field close, right? There was a robber that came and doubled our guy Travis Kelce over the middle. So first thing, the Chiefs just did not believe in their run game versus this front of the Eagles. So if you're going to do this, play action fake right here, you do finally get a quasi one-on-one matchup with Xavier Worthy going up against Quinyon Mitchell in a foot race. Now, here's the thing. This is essentially a two-man route concept. You have a little stop being run right here by Travis Kelce over the middle. That's covered. Mahomes is locked in here on Xavier Worthy, and Mitchell, who is also a Blazer, is step for step. I still think Mahomes should throw this, right? It is honestly 50-50. these go balls to Worthy has been a circus basically this year. So Mahomes decides to take the wide open check down right here. Worthy does eventually break away, but it is such a tight sideline ball. Maybe if you throw it back over in this direction, I don't know. But he hits his check down here to Juju, and it sets up a second and medium. So, yeah, this was just a disastrous first half for Travis Kelce. You see, he's split zoning here to the left. And the funny thing about it is this run to the right actually does get blocked pretty well, okay? You get a nice double right here on Jalen Carter. Look what they do to him. Bang. He's out of the play. And let's just say Hunt was able to follow along here. This is getting broken through pretty well. Now, once again, Zach Bond is an all-pro linebacker. He does a good job reading this and seeing that the timing of this is off because Travis Kelce runs into Kareem Hunt. Right, on these split zone plays, you need to be as flat as you possibly can on the line of scrimmage so you don't run into your own running back. So Kareem Hunt is off kilter here, and he has to cut it up vertically. If he's able to just follow along here, you might get a really, really good run game. All right. Patrick Mahomes just was not good in this game, and this, to me, would probably be my lowest graded play from Mahomes in this first half. Okay, 3rd and 3. Obviously, you're the Hall of Famer. You are the superstar. We need you to rise your level of play to help get the Chiefs out of a very hostile situation. The first thing is, this Philly defense is so smart. They know that Xavier Worthy's not running the football. So once you motion him, it's clear that this is not going to be a run on 3rd and medium. But whatever the case may be, this has just got to be thrown. Okay, it just has to be thrown right here to Marquise Hollywood Brown. This also could have been thrown right here for a first down. And Mahomes is just off kilter. Okay, so now Hollywood wants to run in the direction of Mahomes, and this is where it gets weird, right? We've seen Mahomes in the last Super Bowl versus the Eagles get vertical with the rush game to pick up tough first downs. Well, what does he decide to do? He decides to go with one of these jump passes to Hollywood Brown. He leaps up into the air to avoid getting tripped up. He would not have been tripped up. So if he would have just kept his feet and gotten vertical here, he's picking up this first down. Or he could get very frisky here, step up into this pocket, and off this crazy scramble drill here with Xavier Worthy, he is finding Worthy for a wide open touchdown here to the left side. Let's just say he steps up and gets vertical and for some reason decides to look over here. That is Worthy going up against Zach Bond. He's never seen that, but still, this was the worst of all options because look, he's out leveraged here as he cuts to the outside. This was almost overthrown here and could have been a pick. So just a crazy, crazy, crazy decision right there from Patrick Mahomes. One thing about Vic Fangio is, and I'm not smart enough to break this down. I met Sean Shied. I know I'm not saying his name correctly. He was actually the first person I really talked to on Radio Row at the Super Bowl last week. And the dude's just an expert at Fangio. This is something he popularized, which is putting 5 guys on the line of scrimmage and just having one mic, okay? Now, this isn't quite the same thing because this linebacker isn't right on the line of scrimmage. You're still in a somewhat traditional 4-man front, but it's something that Fangio has done. And look, if I'm the Chiefs and I see something like this, I want to run the football, right? No, they throw. And watch what happens. They run a little quick out to Noah Gray to get something quick for Mahomes. Obviously, you don't want to get a safety, so moving quick, you get a little screen right here. But Quinyon Mitchell reads it pretty quickly and absolutely levels Noah Gray just for a 1-yard gain. The next play, once again, Eagles still winning 7-0, 2nd and 9. And man, Mahomes, you could just see that he was just off kilter. So obviously, the Eagles just did not blitz much. They actually don't characterize this as a blitz because it is only a three-man rush. You have both your edges dropping back into coverage. You're predicting quick game. And guess what? They're trying to get some quick game going. And nothing opens. They do find Kareem Hunt right here for a nice gain. And it sets up third and manageable. All right, third and manageable. Really need a first down, 7-0. Eagles offense playing well outside of that Jalen Hurts INT. Man, I understand you want to blame a lot on this Chiefs offensive line, but the simple truth is Andy Reid's inability of wanting to run the football versus boxes like this, and the fact that Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce played the worst playoff games of their lives. I mean, look, I understand the blame wants to be put on the O-line. This is a really good play call right here by Andy Reid. You know, getting in this bunch set, getting your Hall of Fame tight end wide open. But take a look at Mahomes' base right here. This is a wide base, okay? And when that base gets wide, what can happen is you can put so much weight on that front leg. And normally, and QB experts, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, if there's too much weight on the front leg, it can cause the ball to dip. All right, so I'm going to do this rep from the end zone angle at full speed. So you can see Mahomes trying to, get everybody in order here. He brings a running back in just in case they bring a blitz. The first exotic kind of pressure was brought on that last rep, but this is just a simple four-man rush. And I'm going to play just this clip at full speed. You see, it's quick game. He's trying to play so unfreaking believably fast, but you can see on a turf field, right, his back leg is just poorly planted. And, Drew Brees was asked about the Mahomes footwork thing this week in a really good interview with Kevin Clark. And Brees says there are some quirky footwork things that Patrick Mahomes does differently than the other pocket quarterbacks. The thing that makes Mahomes really strange in this situation is, with this unique footwork, it always looks good, right? You never really see this happen. And man, look at this. This is just I understand you're trying to play as quick as you possibly can, but this is just so anti-non-Mahomes. And also, prime Travis Kelce is still catching this. It's a bad throw, but once again, Kelce just didn't. All right, so I, in New Orleans, was able to bump into Andy Reid's wonderful wife, and I just said it in passing. I don't even know if she heard it, how much I appreciate Andy and his offensive prowess. And to me, he is the best football coach I have ever seen. And once again, I really do think this play was poorly executed by Mahomes, but in particular, Travis Kelce. So this is a breakdown that we did early in the genesis of Power Hour NFL, and it's the screen and roll principle on these little pick screens, right? So first off, let's talk about what's happening deep, and then we'll talk about the actual screen itself. I love the design of this, okay? Vertical here, deep over here. So you're running a ton of vertical routes to help create space right here. Okay, so that's where the screen is designed to go. The second thing that I really like about this play is the added bonus of Xavier Worthy split zoning. Okay, this has been a huge, and I mean huge piece of the Chiefs offense, right? Xavier Worthy just, going through here, and that's what split zoning basically means. At the snap, you're cutting across behind the line of scrimmage. And I want you to see how much gravity Xavier Worthy actually creates on this play. You have Cooper DeJean running with Xavier Worthy, and you also have Zach Bond. So DeJean, who's obviously a budding superstar, and Bond, who is an all-pro, you're getting them out of the play itself, okay? Now, two things here. If you are able to get any type of screen action over the middle here, you are gaining a lot of yards, right? Because everybody's backs are turned to the play, right, with the verticals, okay? These two guys are held up by this vertical. These two guys are held up with this vertical. All right, so once again, if you want to learn all the intricacies of this screen, please go check out this breakdown. We talk about Larry Bird and now Rob Gronkowski all the way to Tom Brady, Tony Romo, the whole shebang. You would love it, I promise you. Now, first thing here is for this screen to really work, I prefer my tight end to get a really, really, really good block on the edge, right? Because it's so important to give the quarterback time to operate, to find the arm angle to throw the football to the tight end. The point of this play is the delay, right? You have verticals. You want to give time for those verticals to get those DBs back. You also want to give time for Xavier Worthy to get all the way through here, especially considering Worthy's action is so big to stretch the defense this way and Pacheco this way. So the more you can actually delay this play, the better you are off. You'll see right here Travis Kelce going up against Sweat, who arguably was the best player on the field in this game. It's just not good, okay? The second thing is I like it when I see the Chiefs run the screen where it is slipped right here, where Travis Kelce is just waiting for it right here, okay? And guess what? He instead floats this way, okay? Now, by him floating this way, it makes it easier for Zach Bond to pick up that, hey, this might be a screen to Kelce. So even if it was completed, he's probably getting brought down. So watch what happens. I prefer Kelce to screen right here and just stand right here, but the penetration from Sweat is immense. And the last part of this play that I find to be really interesting is Mahomes, right? I do believe after rewatching this game and listening closely to some of the words that Jay Glazer said before the game about Patrick Mahomes, I do think there is a lot of pain in this ankle, right? There weren't any patented big Mahomes escapability plays in this game. He went down a little too easy for my liking. I do believe he is hurt, and this is a good job by Sweat holding on. And the reason why I bring this up is if Mahomes is able to get through here and get off of this from Sweat, he is running for a lot of yards up the middle right here. So it's a good job by Sweat holding on to Mahomes for dear life, and it's a huge, huge, huge sack. And just for reference, this is a play from last year's Super Bowl, and you'll see that Kelce really holds this block for a long time. Obviously, another little wrinkle I like about this one is the split to widen this end out, which in theory opens up that much more space over the middle. So Mahomes looks right and then throws it here, okay? So obviously, Kelce decides to cut back. It looks like he had a little alley right there. And look how big of a gain that was. That put them on the doorstep of winning the Super Bowl. So that play had been virtually unstoppable throughout the Andy Reid era. And there's not any two players on the planet you want running it more. Instead of it being a gain of at least 6, it's a loss of 4. Then we get to another sack right here from Patrick Mahomes. And this just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. You know, everything is just so sped up. And obviously, if they're going to play off and just show you quarters every single time, you honestly just need to play comeback football. This ball is there to Xavier Worthy. I don't really know what he's looking at. He sees an open rush lane here. Protection is really bad. It breaks down. We covered this play in one of our previous breakdowns. But, you know, once again, if you want to break down the protection again, it is still Travis Kelce just having a tough game, right? Obviously, this was more on Pacheco. He misses his block really badly there. This gets exploded as well, and it's just, ugh. And then, obviously, the last part of this play is you do see an open Juju Smith-Schuster eventually open up, but, I mean, that's just way too late into the process of this play.
Yeah, I think the kid made a great play. He sat underneath Worthy, and I tried to reset back and throw it across the field to D-Hop and put it in a tight window, and he made a great play on it, and then returned it for a touchdown.
The great Patrick Mahomes talking about the worst play of his life in a Super Bowl. Okay, so it is 3rd and Oita. I finally pronounced it correctly. I just love that name. I just love pronouncing it Olaf. All right, so first off, not the biggest fan here of this route distribution by Andy Reid, okay? I understand you're feeling the pressure and you don't want to get yourself in a sticky 4th down situation, so you're running all these routes past the sticks, and you see that the Eagles just kind of have everything boxed in, right? There is just nothing open here, and you can even see DeAndre Hopkins kind of not lollygagging on his route. He's like, is he actually going to throw this? So even if this ball was thrown, it's one of those things where it's probably getting picked off regardless. Now, this, and I mean this, is going to get a lot of you pretty upset, okay? This is technically pass interference, okay? So you'll see Quinyon Mitchell, I was a little shocked that they didn't go after him a little bit more in this game. All right, so this ball is still in the air, and yes, it does get picked off, but let's just say Cooper DeJean doesn't stop and actually come back into this angle and pick this ball off. Watch what actually happens here. Mitchell is already through the back of DeAndre Hopkins. That is pass interference. The ball has not been caught yet, and this would have been a catchable ball had it not been for Cooper making this play. So this, in theory, is pass interference, even though it is a bad throw. Now, the next thing I would say about this is, I want to actually go back pre-snap on this play. I want you to see how well the Eagles are communicating things, right? Fangio really coaches his guys hard. Basically, every Fangio expert will tell you that. So it takes high IQ to play in this defense, and the route distribution is just so well covered, right? Normally, on these kind of rollouts, it's tough for a corner to pick up, hey, I got to run with this dig, even though I'm leaving my side of the field wide open, okay? But that should have been PI. Now, we get to the actual run back. Part of why, when you're doing these kind of rollouts, why a pick is so bad in this situation is that all your fast guys are running to the right, and DeJean is running this back in the opposite direction. And look, the only guys over on this side of the field run 5.5s and above, okay? So you have 5 offensive linemen, one that's on the ground here to make this play, and you get some really good blocks. Man, these are really, really, really good. You could make a case here that is blocking in the back. The helmet is on the other side, but, they're never calling that in this game. So a good little run back here, and it is a tutty. All right, so let's break this down from the end zone angle, and let's take more of a perspective from Patrick Mahomes. He did stare Hopkins down, and that allowed DeJean to make this play. He's probably thinking there's no way Cooper is reading this since he's that close to the sideline. But, man, that is a really fluid redirect. There's a reason why he's their punt returner. But, once again, I want you to see this from this angle. Maybe there's just not as much contact here. Let's see if we could slow this down anymore. We can't. It doesn't really look like much, though. It really doesn't. From the other angle, it does. Is that a push? No, I don't think so. I think he's actually just diving for the football. And it is a tutty going the other way. And let's see, is that a block in the back right here? Okay. No, it looks pretty much square to the side. So end zone angle absolves the potential penalty there, and it's a clean pick six. But you guys let me know down below. You are down by quite a few points. 17. But no need to panic. You can still run the football, right? All-pro right guard going up against defensive end weighs about 240. Watch what happens. Boom! Okay, we break this play down into deeper detail on our offensive line breakdown, but still, it's nasty stuff. All right, 2nd down and 12. Man, you have them outnumbered pretty badly here, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys in this box for the Chiefs, while there are 6 for the Eagles, okay? So you would like to think you're going to pick up some good yardage right here, and man, should Pacheco have cut it here? You guys tell me. Honestly, this is just a good job by the Eagles, just holding serve, right? Limiting the damage. It's only a 3-yard run, right? 3rd and Blue Springs. And it's only 9 yards here, to be fair. But versus this front, it might as well have been 20. Let's start with the route concepts here. You'll see that everything's covered, but watch what Hollywood Brown does to C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Bang, he is open. All right, but still overall, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot open. Maybe this to Worthy is open. Yeah, it would have been. It would have been a tough throw, but that's one that Mahomes has made plenty of times. And Mahomes is in a very hostile pocket here. And look, honestly, this pocket's not too bad. Let's take a look at the end zone angle. There's not a whole lot of guys open either. But let's watch this here. 4-man rush. And Mahomes has to know that it's a 4-man rush, right? They're not really blitzing at all. There's no need to think anything else other than a 4-man rush is coming when they've had that much success. And he just had a difficult game navigating the pocket, right? Yeah, it just I don't understand rolling out this way. I would have just stayed in this pocket, but once again, he was just seeing ghosts, man. It's just that simple. Okay, so we'll just use the broadcast footage for this INT. Mahomes 5 of 10 for 24 yards and 1 pick. And this is obviously INT number 2. There's Joe Thuney right in his lap, and this is just a pick. I mean, he just throws it straight to Zach Bond. Obviously, if he was able to have his full base, he is probably getting this football here for a pretty nice gain. But that's why Zach Bond, who was drafted by the Saints in New Orleans, makes this ridiculous play as an all-pro. And we'll show you the end zone copy. You know, Mahomes had a few hits up to this point. Man, footwork just all over the place. And, you know, it's kind of like the Josh Allen miss for the Chiefs to win in the divisional round last year. 1:35 left to go in the second quarter, and you're down 24-0. Never in a million years would you have thunk that, okay? You know, you still have a chance to matriculate the football down the field, but look, is this to Juju open? Yes, and it's getting you to the sideline. The next thing is this go ball to Xavier Worthy is a touchdown, and that would have been a jolt to this football game, okay? Now, is this ball to Xavier Worthy ever actually getting thrown? Well, Mahomes is looking to the left. You could see that this is a all right. 1.5 minutes left to go in the second quarter. This should have been a touchdown to Xavier Worthy. So it looks like the Chiefs are running some flood variant. And once again, Travis Kelce is drawing a double team. So it's a vertical here, out here, flat route here. But Kelce says, look, I'm not going to be able to, run an out. So I'm just going to stop right here, draw this double. And you'll see that this flat would have been a pretty nice gain for the Chiefs. And then on top of that, this would have been a touchdown to Xavier Worthy had Mahomes actually tossed this one. Bang. Okay? Any ball in this vicinity is scoring. There is a problem, though. This does end up being still a nice scramble from Patrick Mahomes, but there is a holding call. And once again, it was Trey Smith, who had a brutal first half. And there really was no reason to hold. It's just everybody was sped up. Everybody was panicked. You're down by 24. Your franchise quarterback's getting hit. And you'll see that at the snap, Jalen Carter gets Smith off balance, and Smith panics and just yanks him down, right? Even with P. Ryan right here, and even with Jalen Carter running in this direction on a route concept that's being run to the left, okay? And he just brings him down. So this would have wiped a touchdown off the board had Mahomes actually thrown that ball to Worthy. So once again, the Chiefs' best players just played absolutely awful football. All right. Because of the holding penalty, it's first and Harrisonville here. And it is just starting to get very ugly for Kansas City. They run a screen right here. They call Creed Humphrey a legal man downfield. Either way, the play was just dead from the jump. And we get to the next play. And once again, Mahomes just takes an absolute positive shot right here. Boom. Okay. Ugh. Second and Lock Lloyd. So you got to get to the 40-yard line here. Late in the fourth quarter. You still have a timeout left. All right. Pre-snap motion, once again, this is just straight cover 6. Okay. Cover 2 over here. Cover 4 over here. So Mahomes has seen this a gazillion times. This should be an easy completion. And it is. Okay. So it sets up third and manageable. Was there anything else open here? No. I mean, obviously you just want to play quick game here. But still, good stuff. All right, third down. And, man, Mahomes' disastrous night just continues. Yes, was he under heavy duress? Sure, okay? This was a dirty pocket, by the way. But, man, you just got to make that throw. And, you know, there's been so much on DeAndre Hopkins dropping this play. I think it's because of the broadcast angle. It made it look like this was a drop. This is not a drop. It is a bad throw. Man, I think so much of Mahomes' struggles and this offensive line struggles had to do with how many checks at the line of scrimmage Kansas City did. Now, I would guess they probably did this 4 or 5 times. And the problem with this is offensive linemen would much rather run block than pass block. Run blocking, to me, is less exhausting than pass blocking. But I didn't play O-line, so take that for what it's worth. But when you have these guys in these stances, especially if you have an awkward one like this wears you out, especially if we're going up against an elite offensive line in what seemed to be a road environment. You know, I had quite a few friends at the game. I was in New Orleans for Super Bowl week. It did seem like there were more Eagles fans just around. So, you know, when you're in those stances, you see you begin to lean, catch blocks, and lose your feet, okay? You know, and the thing is, when you're making these kinds of checks, what kind of checks are you actually making, right? They haven't blitzed you once. It doesn't look like either one of these guys are a threatening blitzer at all. I understand you still make your traditional checks, and obviously at the snap, they could be, you know, screaming downfield. But, you know, if I'm the offensive line coach or Andy Reid or Nagy, I'm telling Mahomes, hey, let's just get into the play, right? But still, that's not here nor there. He steps up into this pocket, and, man, this is just an all-time miss. This is one of the biggest misses in Super Bowl history, honestly, because you're catching this. This is a 3-point reception at minimum. There is nobody here, okay? He's catching this and getting at least into Harrison Butker range. You still got a timeout. might actually even score. All right, we get to the third quarter. Chiefs get the football, and if it is in your heart's desire, please drop a donation. These film studies obviously take a long time to break down and evaluate. Chiefs Kingdom, I still love you, even though this was arguably the worst night of your lives, right? I do think this one is worse than the Tampa one, and we'll tell you why a little bit later. So, you start off here actually with a really, really good run with Isaiah Pacheco. Let's break it down from the end zone angle. And this will be something that Andy Reid will question for quite some time, why he started the game with 5 runs, right? When you're playing a team and they know you're going to be throwing the football, it makes it that much harder to block up front. And then, you bury yourself into a deficit because Mahomes and Kelce forgot to play football, and it takes away your whole, chance of actually running the football when you're down 24. And we were playing against these very soft boxes, 2 high shells. Remember, we're talking about the 5th man on the line of scrimmage. Notice there's only 4 on the line of scrimmage and 1 mic right here. You should be able to run on this. You get a good double right here on Jalen Carter. That's really nasty stuff. You would have liked to have picked up more yards off of that, but man, that is still a nice 6-yard gain on first. All right, this is what I would have done if I was Kansas City. I think the weak link of this defense is Quinyon Mitchell. Now, I like Quinyon a lot. I had a really good grade on him coming out as a rookie, and the dude is just a freak, and he's flat-footed here versus Xavier Worthy. This is what you want, right? Good quick game here to the outside. You also had Killer Trav open right here as well for a big one. And look at that. I mean, that is just ridiculous stuff right there from Worthy. So we get to this first down play, and I like the fact that Andy Reid tries to call a shot here. And look, when I do film studies, and I did this for Justin Herbert versus the Texans, honestly, I don't think that game was that bad, and a lot of people are labeling him as that was an all-time bad Herbert game. As I've rewatched this game, it's gotten even worse from Mahomes' vantage point. This is a really, really, really good design. The Eagles really put a lot of focus on Travis Kelce, and there are actually 2 different options I would have liked to have seen Patrick take. First off, boom, this is open. Just take it and keep the momentum going. Right? You got some good gains going right here. The next thing, though, is this pocket actually was fine, right? Mahomes just kind of runs into the sack. So, yes, is there some pressure? Yes. Is it muddy? Sure. But, you just got to play pitch and catch if they're going to play this far back. The next thing, though, is taking your eyes off the field. This would have been interesting. Darius big play Slay is not the fleetest of foot. Hollywood Brown does have some serious speed. What if this ball was thrown deep right here? Maybe that is being completed. But to really encapsulate, I've never been able to use that word. Why do I try and use a fancy word? But either way, I want you to see how bad Mahomes' pocket presence was in this game, okay? I just got this sweater, and I accidentally marked it with my ink pen. Anyway, look at this. Pocket's good. It's fine. He takes his eyes down. There is some bowl getting into this region, but look, there's just head down, okay? Not good football. Not good football at all from arguably the GOAT. Big reason why this quarter's coverage is so good versus the Chiefs is obviously if you're able to defend the run with a light box, it makes your life a lot easier. Now, this is why the quarters, in particular versus the Chiefs, works really well, is that when the Chiefs do decide to get vertical and get explosive in the pass game, they're really good at it with 2 tight ends on the field, right? They're bringing some extra beef. They're thinking that it's going to bring an extra guy to the box, but if you're able to stop the run with light boxes, it lowers the value of 12 personnel. So that was something working against Kansas City in this game as well. Another thing that you saw the Eagles do, their overhang, or essentially the second level of the defense, they did a good job of creating just some traffic, some misdirects on the actual Chiefs vertical routes, okay? So they're running smash here to the bottom, a quick out, a deep over. But watch here. This is actually a weird way of doing it. Out here, and then it's actually a corner behind it, all right? And it's being run vertically here from number one, Xavier Worthy, okay? So take a look at this. Bang, it's there, okay? It is there. But did Mahomes have time to throw this? No, okay? Look at when Worthy is actually breaking. This is a lot of pressure. It is muddy, okay? Could Mahomes have actually stepped backwards from this and thrown it? No, there's just no way. This sack is not on him. The last one was on him. I'd put, a good 50 to 60% of it on him. This one, there's really not a whole lot you can do. And once again, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys versus just a 6-man box. And the thing is, they only lost 1 yard on this last sack. Here, they lose 6. Okay, so this is Worthy. This is when the pressure is getting Mahomes. He just has no shot. You got to eat it and let the fight another down. Okay, poor quarterbacking and situational acknowledgement here from the Chiefs. You got to go for it on 4th down. So in this spot, this is a 2-down scenario. So you don't need to pick up all the yards, especially if the Eagles are going to be running quarters like they had been all game long. So in this spot, this ball to Juju Smith-Schuster needs to be thrown. You can see that Mahomes is looking right at him. This has to be thrown. If you throw it, you might be picking this up, okay? Even with Juju being about 4 or 5 yards off of it. Also, if you throw this, you could just go for it on 4th down, right? But Mahomes rolls out to the right side, and there's just nothing open here, okay? Nothing, and he decides to tuck and run. In this spot, I would have liked to have seen him just chunk this. Obviously, he's got the arm and the wherewithal to do it. And instead, he breaks the contain, finally, something he had struggled to do, and he just runs into a nice little scramble here. And I also think the Chiefs should have contemplated going for it here anyway. End zone copy here. Mahomes, look, he's looking right at him. Eyes off of him, gets off of it, and it's just nasty. Footwork, very, very, very jumpy here, okay? And, man, it's just... the thing is, with this type of footwork, Brady's feet, he was a very flat-footed pocket quarterback. When your footwork gets jumpy, it's more than likely that it's going to get impeded by an offensive lineman back into their pass set and just makes it a little awkward. But, man, just an ugly, ugly, ugly game for Patrick Mahomes. All right, so the Eagles drive down the field, kick a field goal, and it's now 27-0. Ugh! You get a nice throw here to DeAndre Hopkins. There is a problem, though, with this, though, and it's that Mahomes really played well to close this game out. It's just all the ugliness that ensued before it, and the attitude of the defense just changes when it's 27-0. It's just how it is, but you do pick up a nice gain here. Second down, 4:25 left to go in the third quarter, and once again, I want you just to see this from my vantage point. I will always love the draft class of 2013. My favorite player, Tyrann Mathieu, was in that class, and I've always been a huge Travis Kelce fan. Everything just looked so slow and casual, okay? It just feels that way. Maybe I'm just totally wrong on that, but still, you get another big, big, big sack here after a nice first down gain, and, man, would this have been completed here to Worthy? It would have been bang, bang. But you'll see on the end zone angle, this is essentially a sack. It's a holding penalty, and Mahomes just does a lot of dipsy doodling. And I'm still a little shocked that he didn't end up throwing any of these, but still. And you'll see it was indeed holding. And to make matters worse, even though they do call this back for holding, the ball security issues for Mahomes. He loses a ball at the end of this run. Left hand right here, ball out, and it just looked like that ball was eventually going to be fumbled. Mahomes does eventually get it, but second and Arabia Steamboat here. And you do just run, and it's just brutal. Just brutal, okay? I'm not a Chiefs fan, but I did bet y'all to win, so it was probably my fault that you guys lost this game. I mean, everything is just nasty. Guys just getting thrown around in the run game. Jawan Taylor not moving a body. The puller here, 66, just had a god-awful game. He was by far the lowest-graded player on PFF, which is interesting. I did this exercise. I recorded it earlier where I hadn't looked at the PFF grades. And my guess on who the lowest-graded player was going to be was Kelce, but it wasn't. It was 66. And, everything is just off, right? He misses his block. Taylor's getting two-gapped. Kelce, it's just brutal. Third and Sandstone Amphitheater. Got to get 13 yards here. Good stuff right here from Patrick Mahomes, okay? You finally get Travis Kelce with the running start. All verticals. These guys are being held up by these verticals. And, man, I want you to see this from Reid Blankenship, just to show you how quickly they process info. There had been a lot of these kind of robber coverages that they had put. If they hadn't been running quarters, they would have one safety just, come down hard right here. Pause. Okay? And you'll see Blankenship. He sees once this ball is thrown to Kelce. Look at how hard he drives down at this. Bang. Okay? Now, this is what's interesting, and only Andy Reid could say this in Mahomes as well. I do think one little wiggle added to this play. You saw them do this to the Saints earlier this year. You catch this ball, you have a lateral option right here to Samaje Perine. Even that's covered. The Eagles were just ready for everything. Kelce does this smart thing. Just hold on to it, set up fourth and medium. We get to this fourth down play, and honestly, I didn't mind this from Mahomes. I mean, there had been so much pressure. You get this little stack right here with the motion, and also Cooper DeJean is not in the game. This is obviously the backup nickel Avonte Maddox, and obviously, in retrospect, this is wide open. But, in this case, Mahomes just kind of gets unlucky. You would think at least one of these two would be running with Watson, and he decides to play quick and throws this football. Obviously a perfect throw probably gets this done, but it has to be absolutely perfect and hangs in the air, and Maddox just makes a really, really good tackle football play. And on the very next play, the Eagles score a touchdown. Now, 34-0 is your score. First thing, and this is just a small thing, Eagles probably should have gone for two, all right? But let's not spend any time on that because, it's a foregone conclusion where this game is going. I want you to see how well coached this Eagles defense actually is. So you'll see at the snap that Blankenship, one of the safeties, runs into the box, right? And that makes sense, right? There's two tight ends. If you do run something to the right side, you want to have someone in this box to fill. But he's also stopping any quick Kelce inbreaker here, okay? So watch what actually happens once he sees that there is no threat. Look at him put eyes on anything running over, okay? Just doesn't even worry about Kelce. And he's already running in this direction. But, that's not the point of this play. The point of this play is Patrick Mahomes is still a freak of nature. See what happens when you give him a good, clean pocket. And this time Pacheco makes his block. Remember earlier, he missed his block and it was a big sack. Worthy, these are the starters still on the field. Look at this throw from Mahomes. Bang. Okay. Could it have led him maybe a little bit better? Sure, but he still fires that bad boy in there for a nice explosive gain. All right, so after the big play, Mahomes, this is an okay throwaway. Obviously, you don't want to take sacks. But, I'll show you the end zone angle. It does eventually open up Noah Gray for a touchdown. And Cooper DeJean is yelling at C.J. Gardner-Johnson, why'd you leave Noah Gray just untouched? That's part of why you always got to be careful with these end-of-game, blowout situations. The attention to detail just isn't quite there. The second thing here is, yes, this pocket is collapsing on Mahomes, but it would have been interesting to see him not just throw this into the ground, but instead find a way to get through here. If he does, then maybe he could, reset and find Noah Gray. There is a little window there, but it's so small he just throws it away. All right. Next play, a really good play right here from Patrick Mahomes. This is on the offensive line. This should have been a way, way, way bigger gain. Okay, everything is just covered. And look, part of why Mahomes won the Super Bowl versus the Eagles were these scrambles up the middle. Okay, so it's a clear twist stunt. There was a chip on Hunt. You need either the guard or Creed Humphrey to get play side of Mahomes, or at least get a piece to knock him off and give Mahomes a chance to make this play. Now, if he just runs instead of fakes and throws this, part of why he's faking the throws to get this defender, out of this play even more. This is just a great play by Hunt to retrace his steps and mitigate that damage. You take a look at this. Let's say Mahomes could get through here. Okay, obviously Cooper DeJean would have gone up and made that tackle, but that saved a good 6-7 yards right there. I understand it was just a 4-man rush show, but the Eagles did a good job of telling their DTs to not only rush to the inside, but rush to the outside, right? Obviously, there was a twist attached to this one, but it wasn't just interior penetration. It was just penetration from all directions from all four guys, right? It's really, really, really good stuff. Now, this isn't good, but, when your end is able to retrace and get that fast upfield. Once again, Patrick Mahomes to close out this game was so good, all right? You get a really good rep right by Trey Smith getting a guy to the ground, okay? The one thing you don't want to do versus Mahomes is fall to the ground. Eagles have been one of the best in the NFL at keeping their feet planted, okay, on both sides of the football. So Mahomes steps up, and there's one less guy that he has to worry about, runs through this space, and then Travis Kelce, this is just vintage Mahomes Kelce. Look at that flip. That is just sexy stuff, and it is a first down. All right, 1st and 10. And really, this is the first time the Chiefs are past midfield. It's crazy. And if you're an LSU fan, you know how much that just hurts us to even say it. But this is a really sexy, sexy, sexy play design. All right. What I understand of this play is this is actually supposed to be thrown to the left. It's a leak play. So you got a vertical from your tight end, leak right here from Watson, and the design is for it to be thrown either to Watson or Isaiah Pacheco. There's only one problem here is you have to have a very difficult block by Juju Smith-Schuster for this play to work, okay? So you need Schuster to get just a piece of Graham, but, it's just too much penetration right there. So if Mahomes had time, this to Pacheco is wide the frick open. But guess what? Mahomes just has to make something happen, and it's scramble drill time with Worthy, and he sees that Gardner-Johnson is just floating, and he just throws a really nice ball right here to Worthy for the tutty. Let's appreciate it from this angle, okay? A lot of pressure, once again, and, man, is this designed for Mahomes to roll out to the right and then him step back? I don't know. I just don't know how he's supposed to get that off and Smith-Schuster get that block on Graham if it is indeed designed to go there. But look at this throw. I mean, bang. 2-point conversion. And man, Kelce just was not ready to play this game. He just looked a tad slow. I would be interested to know, what the last couple of weeks were like. Is there an injury that we don't know about? Because this has been a go-to red zone play for the Chiefs, right? They scored a huge touchdown versus the Broncos earlier in the year on this play. You're just creating a bunch of traffic to give Kelce some inside leverage versus this safety, and the ball has to be thrown quickly. And DeJean's just not fooled by it. He's just all over Kelce. This is a slow cut, and he's not ready for it. Okay? Goes straight through his hands, and it is, a misconnect. Not the best throw, you could say, from Patrick Mahomes, but it wasn't terrible per se. We'll give you another angle here. This is really hard to defend, by the way. You get a little extra motion. And let's see. Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, it's just got to be better from both of them. All right, score is now 37-6. Ooh. Y'all, this was the dagger of all daggers. I think the ball and interception is essentially what ended this game. Man, first off, let's just give a lot of kudos to this Eagles secondary. Darius Big Play Slay didn't make any big plays, but he did his job, right? All of this deep stuff was just capped, all right? You see, they're just waiting for this deep post right here from Hollywood Brown, and then Xavier Worthy is just stride for stride with Darius Big Play Slay. There's just nothing open, and Mahomes gets strip sack. We'll show you the end zone angle where the protection does break down. Once again, we're not getting too deep into protection, but it's interesting to see an offensive line just get whipped. I saw a crazy stat that Mahomes, this had actually been the sixth time a quarterback in the Super Bowl had never been blitzed, and all six of those quarterbacks lost. Right now, there were some simulated pressures, but they don't consider that a blitz where five or more guys are attacking the QB, and this is just a mauling. Okay, this is a lot of pressure. Left guard once again, brutal game, strip sack, and Blouses basically. Is there a hands to the face miss right here on Jalen Carter? Yes, there is. Bang. Ugh. Now it's 40-6, and this is kind of what they wanted to do earlier. Get Kelce involved, but at this juncture, they don't mind giving this up. But this is the Chiefs' offense in a nutshell. Quick game. Which, puts lipstick on the pig of the offensive line. Ugh. Anyone that watched the Chiefs this year knows that Mahomes has been a little gun-shy at times, okay? This is there to Hollywood Brown. He's looking right at it, doesn't want to rip it, so he decides to take the check down. And some of that, I think, is due to the turnovers. 6:46 left to go in this third quarter, and now you really got to start pushing the football down the field. And once again, this pocket gets a little messy. Let's take a look at the deeper route concepts. Is any of this open? I mean, this D-hop is obviously open. Let's see how Mahomes' overall read on this play actually was. Once again, this pocket is good. This is a lot of traffic just over the middle of the field. But, man, yeah, this to D-hop is there. Just hit the check down to Kelce. Never a bad option. I do need to just state this over and over. It is true that we are, in blowout stages of this game, and they don't mind giving away pitch and catch. But versus quarters, in order to beat a team that's just playing quarters, number one, you just got to be able to run on lighter boxes. And number two, if they really are bailing and playing this far back, you honestly just need to play pitch and catch. And basically, this is the personification of this. Go quick, force Darius Big Play Slay to make a tackle, and there you go, 5 yards. I understand earlier in the game it wasn't this simple. Get a 5:30 left to go, 40-6 your score. Yeah, I don't even know what's happening here. I think Mahomes is thinking that this is going to be a deep out, and it ends up just being a vertical here. And, yeah, it's just a miscommunication. I know this is besides the point, but could this be intentional grounding? I mean, there was a receiver in the vicinity right there, so no. So this was basically the night for Mahomes, okay? Get Jalen Carter jumping off sides. Offensive line kind of stops. And, well, if it's offside, you just throw the football up vertically. And Mahomes does it and gets absolutely freaking mollywopped. And this gets returned for a pick. No need to play the rest of this. So in a normal film study, I'm just skipping through this play, but I'm going to do every single play. Eagles very clearly foot off the gas. They're going to give you 8 yards on the ground like this. But I wanted to show this play in particular because this is what you needed to do to win this game, right? Run on these boxes. Okay, once again, they're not really firing off. But when you let guys sink back, I think Patrick Mahomes would tell you after this game was played, he should have done more stick your foot in the ground and get as vertical as you can type of runs, right? So he sees immediately that the rush lanes are all out of sorts. And look at how decisive he is at just getting down the field, okay? Now, should this quick out to D-Hop have been worked based on the alignment of this DB, especially this late in the game? Sure, you would like to see that just get thrown, but Mahomes sees a wide open rush lane. He decides to take it, and I would have just done more of this, right? Penalize the Eagles for getting out of their pass rush lane. And look at him. He picks up some nice yards here on this play. And here's another thing. So, they are known for these tight split kind of stack formations. So you just run a quick out behind it. And, man, I want you to just see, though, how lockstep this is between these two DBs to the outside, okay? These are two true freshmen over here. And, look, Cooper DeJean sees that this vertical is now going in his direction. And then you'll see that he quits running with the flats. Now, the thing that is very impressive about this, look at how well this is just passed off. DeJean is now running with D-Hop, and now Quinyon is seeing that this is to Hollywood Brown. So, yes, it is 11 yards, but that just shows you how well they're coached. And then, look, the Fangio was setting this up for the fourth quarter. This game was actually going to be close. This time, a four-man rush is brought, but it's a simulated pressure. He backs out into coverage. Zach Bond comes through here untouched, and he gets another shot on Mahomes here, and it's a really, really, really nice game. So we mentioned in our preview that we thought Xavier Worthy was going to have a good game, and he did. I understand a lot of his yards came in garbage time, but, man, he was just constantly making plays in this game. You missed him on a few verticals early. You put him in at running back, and teams have still not been able to figure out Worthy in the red zone. He's just been so good. So you get a touchdown here. They call offensive pass interference. Man, this was OPI. Juju, he hits this player, and that opens up Marquise Hollywood Brown wide open for a tutty. And, of course, they flag it. So I believe the Eagles actually tried to run this play versus Kansas City in the red zone in the last Super Bowl. You're basically doing the same thing, except this time he does a good job not hitting this player. And, well, you see, Worthy is still covered right here by Burks. Could this have still been thrown? Maybe. That's really good coverage by a linebacker on Worthy. The next thing, though, is could this ball to Juju Smith-Schuster still been thrown right here? Yes. Okay. But Mahomes decides to tuck and run and try to make something happen. Could this backside dig to Kelce been thrown? No. I mean, there's a lot of traffic. I mean, yeah, I guess in theory, but this is smart. Just a little tuck and run. Take the yards that they give you and set up a more manageable and goal situation. This is quarterback mastery from Patrick Mahomes. And DeAndre Hopkins in this game did some good things. This is all the throw, though. I mean, DB has inside leverage, so this kind of turns into a fade ball. And instead of throwing the fade, Mahomes back shoulders this ball. I mean, look at that. I mean, that is stupendous quarterback play right there. And I do love the mascot still showing some love, baby. Even Andy Reid in this game, as far as red zone play calling, this wasn't his best, as many of you know. Now, there wasn't a whole lot of trips into the red zone. This was not Andy's best game. But then again, you can't. No offensive game plan can survive four guys just dominating five in the trenches every single time. And as many of you guys saw today, the tight ends for Kansas City didn't really block all that well. So this is supposed to be a little pick play for Xavier Worthy into the flat. Mahomes does a really good job not throwing it. Could he have thrown this ball to D-Hop on this in-breaker right here? No, that's also covered. So the Eagles have been the best red zone coverage secondary I've seen this year. And Justin Watson just understands space and time. This is a really good play for Mahomes to get that in there. And it is a tutty, baby. All right, Chiefs Kingdom, we have reached the end. And obviously we're going to end on this Patrick Mahomes dime. So what the freak happened? Why didn't we see more of this from the Chiefs offense? Well, the first thing is there are just so many backups on the field at this juncture. But let's be honest, I was totally wrong on this game. Not only did I have the Chiefs winning outright, I also had the under. I do feel my underplay was right in a way because pick sixes are things that I don't expect either of these quarterbacks to do. And pick sixes will always be friends of the over, and essentially there were two pick sixes in this game thrown by the better of the two quarterbacks. So I was off, and it is what it is. I thought I felt pretty confident about it, and there you go. Even me, a quote-unquote expert, thought I was on the right side of it. But obviously the major focus of this video was on Patrick Mahomes, and normally, like we said or referenced briefly earlier in the video, when I rewatch a game, I become normally way more sympathetic to a QB's performance. Even some of the quote-unquote down games from Mahomes this year, I was defending him, right? I was talking about Rashee Rice being hurt and so on and so on, the offensive tackle situation being untenable. But I said this multiple times in all the videos that I did this year, and I didn't stay true to it, that at some point playing a left guard at left tackle was just going to catch up with you. It's just not how you win in the NFL, and that's why left tackle continues to be one of the more valuable positions in the NFL. And it wasn't so much Thuney playing left tackle, it was the backup left guard having the game that he had. So, I might release this on Twitter. I did record my blind PFF grades, and I was shocked that it wasn't Travis Kelce who was the lowest graded player, because Kelce just, I don't know what it was. He just had a really, 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 really bad game. And I will echo the sentiments of a lot of Chiefs fans that Worthy was the only Chief worthy of really being on the field offensively with this elite Chiefs defense. But all of that aside, you're seeing a graphic from Robbie Greer of NFL ELO, and basically this performance from Patrick Mahomes does not come close to the Tampa Bay performance, and that is backed up on tape. Patrick Mahomes, his Tampa Bay performance was actually fine. If anyone remembers the game, those balls hitting guys in the face mask. Pause. But, man, I go back to the point. I got sidetracked. Mahomes was way worse on the rewatch. Like, way, way, way worse. Which I honestly thought I was just going to be saying, well, it was the offensive line. But man, Mahomes was just terrible. And this is just a message to any coach, including the great Andy Reid. I mean, all those throws to start the game with, the defense sitting back in the light boxes is crazy. And you could even make a strong case that the most valuable player in this game outside of the quarterbacks, because they're just inherently more valuable, was actually Saquon Barkley, right? The Chiefs dedicated so much time and resource stopping Saquon Barkley that it opened up huge lanes in the passing game, and it allowed Jalen Hurts to have one of the best Super Bowl performances of all time yet again versus a Steve Spagnuolo defense. The Chiefs not having that guy at RB and not trusting your run blocking versus, soft quarters coverage tells you everything you need to know about this game. But yes, it is indeed true. And I understood a lot of you couldn't understand the title of the video of my first breakdown of this game. Just a very laid back breakdown. Mahomes really laid an egg. But man, I really honestly will say this. I do think Mahomes was hurt. Now, I think this play in particular supports two different theories. I keep going back to that Jay Glazer report about quote-unquote playing through pain. It might be an ankle, but Mahomes, I think, is running through this in the last Super Bowl vertically, like we pointed out earlier. And then his decision-making was just off. Now, I tweeted out a few clips on Twitter, and this was brought up to me. Maybe he was concussed early in this game. Now, you got to be careful with these kinds of things. But obviously, as many of you know, I love watching Patrick Mahomes play football. And I remember, when my favorite soccer team, Liverpool, played in a big cup final, we figured out, or it was speculated, that the goalie for Liverpool got an early concussion. He went on to do things that he would never do in a game. This would kind of explain it, right? On this Jalen Carter play on the first drive, you do see a very violent head snap of the turf. And that is really one way to explain Patrick Mahomes having arguably the worst Super Bowl we have ever seen from a quarterback, especially compared to expectation. But you guys let me know. Once again, it's speculative. Once again, I hope Mahomes is not hurt. But it would explain a lot. So, floating in your face here in just a second, some of our other Super Bowl breakdowns. Comment below. Who do you think is most to blame for this Chiefs egg and Chiefs Kingdom? I appreciate all the support. It is Power Hour NFL. And tonight we're doing lemon pepper wings, baby.